From Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov's prediction about Jon Jones's hidden potential 6 years ago, to Jones actually fulfilling it by becoming UFC heavyweight champion after a 3-year hiatus, Khabib's dad's prediction just came true. Jon Jones is back, and he's only gonna become the UFC heavyweight champion. The man is an absolute beast in the octagon, and he's proved it time and time again. His only UFC defeat came from a disqualification against Matt Hamill. Not exactly the most convincing way to lose a fight, is it? But let's talk about Jones's latest win, shall we? He choked out Cyril Gane in the first round at UFC 285, making him a 2-weight champion. That's right, he's conquered the light heavyweight division, and now he's taken on the big boys in the heavyweight division too. And you know what? He's killing it. But it's not just me saying this. Khabib Nurmagomedov's late father, Abdulmanap, predicted this years ago. He said that Jones got his talent from God, not from his coach, Greg Jackson. And he was spot on. Jones has been breaking records left, right, and center since he became the youngest champion in UFC history, aged 23. He's got the most title defenses, most wins, and longest win streaks. And now he's added heavyweight champion to his list of achievements. Originally, Jones was supposed to face Francis Ngannou, but the Cameroon star couldn't agree to a new deal with the UFC and stepped away from the promotion. But that didn't stop Jones from going after the heavyweight belt, and boy did he get it. There's one question on everyone's minds though. Is there still a chance for a Jones versus Ngannou? Dana White and Francis Ngannou have been feuding for what feels like forever, and it doesn't look like they'll be exchanging Christmas cards anytime soon. The big boss man has had enough of Ngannou's shenanigans and has released him from his contractual obligations to the UFC. Oh, and he also stripped him of his heavyweight belt. Ouch. But wait, it gets even juicier. During the Jones-Gane fight week, White said that Ngannou will never compete in the UFC again. And to really drive the point home, he punctuated his declaration with a dramatic, "It's over." Now, before we start mourning the loss of a potential Ngannou comeback, let's remember one thing. Dana White is a businessman, and he's not exactly known for turning down a giant payday. So, could we see Ngannou back in the UFC? Maybe, or maybe not. But what we could see is a Jones versus Ngannou fight that would make all our UFC dreams come true. Think about it. The champion who never lost his title in the cage facing off against the man who's considered the greatest UFC fighter ever. It's a match made in heaven. And if you put it in Vegas, on Fight Island, or even on Mars, people will come. So, what does Jones have to say about all of this? According to him, Ngannou had the opportunity to face him and opted out. And not only that, but he was offered the biggest contract in heavyweight history and still didn't believe in himself enough to take the risk. While this fight might not happen for a while, Stipe Miocic might be making an appearance. Jon Jones has snagged Stipe Miocic's old heavyweight belt. And you know what that means? We could potentially see the greatest light heavyweight champ in UFC history take on the heavyweight champ who's considered the best in his division. Now that's a matchup made in heaven. Miocic is definitely up for the challenge. He's hungry for another title reign and was itching for a shot at Jones before Ngannou vacated the title. Now that the Jones-Gane fight has been announced, Miocic is all in for the winner's first title defense. And guess what? Dana White has pretty much confirmed that Miocic is absolutely the next one in line. Miocic has had a pretty impressive career so far. He started his first title reign with a KO of Fabricio Werdum at UFC 198 in 2016 and defended the belt 3 times before losing it to Daniel Cormier by KO. He regained the title in a rematch with Cormier and beat him again in a trilogy fight before losing to Ngannou by a brutal second-round KO 2 years ago. But don't count him out just yet. Miocic is ready to cement his legacy even further and become the UFC's second 3-time heavyweight champ after Randy Couture. In an interview, he said that whether it's Jones or Gane, he'd take whoever won and beat them once and for all, one of them being Jamal Hill. When it comes to light heavyweight, Jamal Hill is the new kid on the block. But don't let his fresh title fool you. This guy's got ambitions. Apparently, Hill's been dreaming of a fight with Jon Jones ever since the legend emerged on the scene. And you know what? It's not a half-bad idea. Both guys are 6'4", insanely athletic, and as versatile as it gets. Sure, Jones has a reach advantage, but Hill's got a frame that's just as lanky and powerful as Jones. Plus, the dude's 6'1" in the UFC with no contest and 4 finishes. And if you saw his total destruction of Glover Teixeira, you'd understand why the Brazilian veteran retired right after the fight. Now that Hill's got a belt, he's all about building a superstar-level career. And what better way to do it than with a Jones fight? I mean, come on. This is how you cement your place in history. If Jones doesn't want to go for a rookie, he could also go for a veteran instead. Yes, I'm talking about Brock Lesnar. The name alone is enough to strike fear into the hearts of his opponents. The guy is a legend in both the UFC and WWE. And let's face it, the man's built like a brick house. But there's one man who's not afraid of the challenge: Jon Bones Jones. These two titans have a bit of a history. Back in the day, when Jones was still reigning supreme in the light heavyweight division, he started some trash talk with Lesnar. After defeating Daniel Cormier at UFC 214 in 2017, Jones called out Lesnar, saying, "If you want to know what it feels like to get your kicked by a guy who weighs 40 pounds less than you, meet me in the octagon." Lesnar didn't take kindly to the challenge, but that didn't stop Jones from bringing it up again in 2019. He even went so far as to say that he'd embarrass Lesnar, who hasn't fought since 2016 and is now mostly focused on his pro wrestling career. But Jones isn't giving up on the idea just yet. In fact, he thinks it would be really cool to fight Lesnar, even if he's not the most technical fighter out there. The size difference alone would make it a David and Goliath situation, and the cross-sport promotion would be massive. Plus, let's not forget about the financial rewards. But could that be enough to go against Sergey Pavlovich? This Russian powerhouse has been on a rampage lately, scoring 5 straight first-round knockouts. And let me tell you, he's not playing around. At 6'3", with an 84-inch reach, Pavlovich is a scary sight for anyone who steps into the octagon with him. He's been making a name for himself by finishing his opponents in lightning-fast fashion. None of his last 5 fights have lasted longer than 4 minutes and 3 seconds. That's right, he's knocking people out before they can even break a sweat. His most recent victory was a thing of beauty, and by beauty, I mean absolute destruction. He faced off against Tai Tuivasa and sent him packing in just 56 seconds. Now, Pavlovich isn't content with being just a rising star. He's got his sights set on the top of the division. He's ranked 3rd, right behind Cyril Gane and Stipe Miocic, and he's scheduled to fight Curtis Blaydes, who's ranked 4th in April. If he can take out Blaydes, there's no telling how high he can climb. And that's all for Khabib's dad's prediction about Jon Jones coming true.
Him in the eyes at some point, and the reason why he says that is because I do poke people in the eyes.
Jon Bones Jones!